Good morning, students. This morning I am going to take a lesson on personal profile. This personal profile is also known as a personal statement or a CV profile. A CV is curriculum vitae. That is when you apply for a job, usually you give a description of your academics, your experience, qualifications, and so on. So that is a CV. So it's also known as a personal profile. Is usually known as a personal statement as well as a CV profile. Now, what is this basically? The personal profile is basically a description, basically a short or a brief description outlining the personal attributes and qualities of an individual. Alright? So it outlines your special qualities, your attributes in a brief description. Alright? So it's a small descriptive piece of writing. And essentially, what you can call this, the blurb of the career profile is the blurb. Blurb means a brief description of your career. All right, your career profile. And as students, you shall be writing it from the point of your scholarly life or your academic life, right? Presuming that you are seeking admission to a course in a particular college or a university. Okay. This is essentially a blurb, and that means a short description of yourself, okay, your outstanding qualities. What makes you different from others? Why should you be the one who should be getting preference over maybe 200 or others who have applied for the same position? So this is, you can call it also an elevator pitch. Alright, so it is an elevator pitch. Alright, an elevator speech. Alright, so that the intention of it is to, or the purpose of it is to attract the attention of the authorities, to attract the attention of the authorities so that they shall invite you for an interview. They shall invite you for an interview. So therefore you shall be talking about basically about your good qualities, your merits. So it's a positive picture of yourself, and there's nothing melancholic you shall mention in it, only your good points. What are your exceptional qualities in academics, in sports and games, in leadership, and other community services, and so on. Okay? So that's what we shall be talking about. Now this has become a requirement. This has become a requirement in the modern times as you seek admission to a course in a particular college or a university, even in India. And it's a must in most of the Western countries. Alright? Okay. Now, this also is a requirement when you are applying for a job. When you are applying for a job also, this personal profile is required. Because there will be hundreds of applicants, And this is where they sort out the candidates or shortlist the candidates who shall be called for an interview. They compare your personal profile and your SOP, the statement of purpose we have learned earlier, and then they also compare these with your academic achievements or the other testimonials that you have given, your mark sheets, your certificates and diplomas and so on. All these things put together, they get a holistic picture of you, an all-round picture of you, and thereby you have a better chance of being called for an interview, which is the first step towards gaining an admission to a course or a college, in a college or in a university, or the step towards the possibility of getting a career or a job. So your prospects increase. So in other words, what are you going to state in this? You are going to state what makes you outstanding from the rest of the applicants. That's what you should mention in this particular short essay. So this should not exceed more than 500 words. Should not exceed more than 500 words. Somewhere between 200 to 500. That is the word limit for this. Okay. Do not make it very long, and it should be well thought out. That's very important. It should be well thought out and intelligently written. So it has to be thought out well in advance and intelligently written to impress the authorities, to give you a chance or for an interview with them, which is a step further towards getting an admission into a course in a college or a university. Now, being such a brief essay, so we shall stick to a few points. What is? We shall mention only what is relevant. Okay? Stick to what is relevant. There are so many things that are connected with us, which may not be useful in a personal profile. And therefore, you shall mention only those things which you consider will give you an edge over the other candidates. Next, it has to be brief or short and to the point. And to the point. There is no beating around the bush. So you shall briefly state, and only you go direct to the point. There is no need of a big introduction and such things. And the next thing is very important. It has to be original. It has to be original. Original writing. Okay? It has to be original writing, and what describing yourself. Okay? Describing yourself and your traits. That's what it is. And therefore, it has to be true yourself or your true self. Okay. Now that means it should not be copied. It should not be copied. It should not be copied out. You cannot copy out a personal profile written by someone else. Personal profile. Alright? So it has to be genuine. Because I told you one of the things is just like in statement of purpose, they shall be going through this, and they have other documents as well. So like for instance, along with the personal profile, you have also written an SOP or statement of purpose. Then you have your academic records presented to the committee. All these are presented. So the committee, the admission committee, shall compare these, and when they find a discrepancy in the language and the style that is used, at once they will understand that it is a copied or a genuine. So it has to be genuine. That means original, your own, okay? Your own true self, explaining your true self. So these are the things that you have to keep in mind. You cannot hire somebody else to write a personal profile for you. You have to do it yourself. You may copy the style, the format, the way it is presented. You can do it in most of these application forms. There is a column, a special box for it, and you write your personal profile in MS Word or such a word processors, and then you copy and paste it to the place where it is to be. The presentation also is important. So that's what you have to keep these things in mind. And then let's look at some of the things that you should be avoiding or taking care of. Okay. And we shall again go point by point. How do we go about it? First, talk about your personal traits. What are traits? Special qualities or characteristics. Because every person, every human being is a unique individual, and therefore you are different from the rest of the world, all the others. And so you have your own unique characteristics or traits that you spell out. Secondly, we talk about your academics. Achievements. Okay? We talk about your academic achievements. So your progress, give a list of your academic achievements, the success you had in your student life, in academics. Then another thing is, you should also talk about your achievements in extra curricular activities. And sports. Okay? So you mentioned all these extracurricular activities that you have taken part in. You may have taken part in some of the stage activities like a debate. You may have been a very good debater. You may have been a very good orator at school. You might have got some awards for it, or you may have been a good sprinter and you have got a certificate for it. All these things you should elaborate. Then we should also talk about if you had any leadership experience. We talk about when you were in the school, you may have been the monitor of a class, or you may have been a prefect, you may have been in such leadership positions, maybe in Scouts or NCC or in Guides or NSS. So you have held some position of a leader, and and what are the benefits that you have gained from it. Alright? Basically all these experiences help your personal growth. Talk about that. Then you also talk about your hobbies and interests. You talk about your hobbies and interests. Okay. So you talk about what are your personal hobbies or interests, maybe stamp collection or coin collection or whatever be the hobbies that you are interested in, or trekking or hiking or mountaineering, rock climbing, any of those things. Alright? They all serve to your advantage. Mention that. And then you also talk about what are your aims. What do you aim to achieve? What do you aim or what do you hope to achieve by pursuing this particular course or taking admission in this particular college or university? In other words, your expectations, and that shall fulfill your aims. You decide what you desire to become. Then you talk about your plans for the future. Now, for instance, let's say what do you expect to be? Or who do you expect to become? Let's say 10 years from now. That is what your future plan is. And with that future plan, you see yourself 10 years from now, and with that intention only, you are pursuing a particular course you are seeking admission in a particular college. Then also talk about other things like the contributions you may have made to the community or to the campus in which you are studying, and explain how this experience, this community service has helped develop your personality. Alright? Then you can also talk about or pick an experience from your school life which has greatly influenced your development. The development of your personality, the development of your thinking. So these are some of the points that you should be mentioning when you are talking about your personal profile. Okay. Now, let me give you a few tips on the ways you would start, or the things you should be including in your personal profile. See, the personal profile is written in a subjective form. That means you are the speaker, I, and therefore he says, I am an organized and efficient person with an inquiring mind. So you start a statement like, I am an organized, efficient, I am an organized and efficient person with an inquiring mind, for instance. So this is a loaded sentence where you describe yourself, you analyze yourself, you appreciate yourself as a person who has organization skills, because you yourself is organized. So your plans, your actions, your studies, your games timings, everything is well organized, and you are efficient in whatever you do. not only in studies or whatever work you do, you are efficient and you are curious. You are an inquiring mind. Okay. Then, so that will be something that these people will be interested. Then you can say, I am a hardworking and reliable and excellent timekeeper. So I am a very hardworking person. I am a very reliable person. Dependability is there in me, and I am very punctual. So these are some of the qualities that you could mention in your speech. Or he said, I always seek to or work to achieve my talents and skills to meet the objectives. Alright? So I have a standard and I always keep those objectives in mind, and I shall always try to achieve those objectives. Or you can also say, I am able to motivate and direct my talents and skills to meet my objectives. So that gives you a holistic picture of you. This is only a few words, but a beautiful description. I am able to motivate myself, motivate others, and direct. So that direction involves me as well as directing others. And then plus my talents and the skills, the talents I have. Whatever talents I have and whatever skills I have, I direct them, I control them, I motivate them with the focus on my objectives, the target. Alright? Or you can also say, I am a competent, loyal, hardworking person with the ability to achieve tasks when working alone or as part of a team. So that is another quality which everyone would appreciate. You are not a loner. You are not a person who isolates yourself from the rest. You also work in a team. You are a team player, in other words. And you are very loyal and competent, efficient, hardworking, industrious person. And you have the ability to achieve the tasks assigned to you, or the tasks that you set for yourself. So these are some of the things that you should be mentioning in your what you call personal profile. Alright? Now, there is on page 127. On page 127 of your book, for instance, you shall find a copy of a personal profile, and it's quite well written. You go through that, you will get a fantastic, very good idea of what a personal profile is as well. And keep those points in mind when you are writing. Be very, very personal, and keep to the points that I have already told you to keep in mind. Alright? Okay, that's your personal profile. And then after the model personal profile, there are a couple of exercises given. I would appreciate if you would practice them at home, and when you return back to school, you show them to me. Alright? Okay. Until we meet in the next class. Bye. Stay safe.